Hey everybody, Jam Creates here. Got another video for you, and today we're talking about Free Comic Book Day. I thought I would do a little video just about this, just do a little sort of a wrap up, I guess. Maybe just discuss some of the things that were picked up, some of the things that I saw along the way, being in the store. And what I saw and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, if you don't know, which I find it kind of weird, you'd be watching my channel and you don't know what Free Comic Book Day is, but hey, whatever. You never know. Every video is someone's first video. Free Comic Book Day is a day where, it's pretty self-explanatory, you go into your local comic book shop and they give away a bunch of free comic books. And a lot of the publishers put together books to be given away on that day, which is why they get the little tag on top there, Free Comic Book Day, so you know they were given away as part of Free Comic Book Day. They don't all have the tag, but most of them do. And the idea is, of course, to get people to come into local comic book stores. Maybe they've never been before, or maybe they haven't been for a while, or you know what I mean? It's just a way to kind of encourage people to get into the stores, and hopefully they, the idea is that they pick up some free comics. And everybody's kind of looking for something from that. The publishers are hoping that you will pick up one of their books, that their book will get your attention and you will pick it up. And then hopefully their hope is that you will read the book and enjoy it and want to read more from that series and from that publisher. And then you will go back to the store or go online or whatever and buy more of those books. So for publishers, that's what they're looking for. They're looking to create fans for their titles. If you're the store, you're number one on the day of Free Comic Book Day. You're looking to get people into your store, and hopefully on that day they pick up some free comics, and then they also, while they're there, will see other stuff that gets their attention, and they'll actually spend some money while they're in the store as well. And if they don't, then worst comes to worst. If you're a comic book store, your hope is that they take home the free comics, and maybe in the future they decide they want to read more comics, either from the series that they picked up the free ones of, or maybe they were looking around and they saw some other stuff that got their attention, and now that they've read the free ones they got, they're kind of like, hey, I would like to read more comics. Maybe I'll go back to that comic book store. I saw they had X, Y, and Z, and I like that stuff, so maybe I'll go check that out. So obviously, these are the things that the stores are hoping for. It's a way to promote the stores and to also promote the books, and in the hopes that everyone will win, and it'll go from there. So I wanted to just go through real quick. I'll tell you my story of how my Free Comic Book Day went. I did visit my LCS with my daughter, but earlier in the day, I just want to get into this first, and I'm going to tell you everything we've got here. Earlier in the day, my wife took my niece and nephew to a comic book store, not the same one that I went to later with my daughter. They went to a different one that's closer to where my niece and nephew live. So she took them to the comic book store, and they picked up some stuff, and they were excited. My nephew likes comic books, so he was excited. My niece, she's 6 years old. She doesn't really care about comic books, but I'm sure she found some stuff. She does love Spider-Man. For whatever reason, Spider-Man is her favorite. I'm not sure where the first exposure, whether it was through cartoons or whatever, but she does like Spider-Man a lot. So there's that. But anyway, so my wife went, and while she was there, she picked up a couple things. So we'll go through the things here. She picked up this Lumberjanes book, which Lumberjanes are pretty well known, honestly. They're one of those books that really makes the rounds on I guess we'll say the library circuit. They really make the rounds on the Scholastic and the library circuit. That's where they really hit their stride and where they got, what they are. So it is what it is. And my wife my wife is a teacher, and one of her students is a big fan of this series. A lot of her students actually really enjoy this series. I've never read it, so I couldn't say one way or the other if it's good, if it's bad, whatever. I have no idea. I do know it's been around. It's been touted for a long time as a very popular one. It's one of those ones that it does get the library treatment, which makes me a little suspect, only because, you know, a lot of times they brag about these things because they get the Scholastic and the library and like the librarian endorsement, which you never know sometimes with that stuff if it's actually a good comic book or not. And then, of course, they usually throw in a few ads and stuff, you know, just to try to, like, obviously it's Free Comic Day. You want to put, like, some stuff in here to get people's attention. So you never know. You know, you never know. One of these things might actually get someone's attention and they'd be like, oh, I'll try that, you know. So anyway, that is... I wouldn't mind going to see Princess Mononoke in the theater again. And I certainly wouldn't mind going to see Alien in the theater again. Anyway, that she picked that up for one of her students because she has a student who enjoys the series. So she figured she would get that for one of her students. Then she picked up this, Riverdale, which is kind of funny in a way. It's one of those things that reminds me of, if you're a video game fan, Street Fighter, the movie, the game. It was a video game based on a movie, which was based on a video game. It's one of those, like, snake eating its tail type scenarios. So this is Riverdale comic. So it's a comic based on the TV show Riverdale, which of course is based on the Archie comics. So it's a comic based on a TV show based on a comic. It's the show is incredibly popular. I have never seen it. I don't know anything about it. It could be terrible. It could be great. Again, don't really know. Don't really care. It's not aimed at my age demographic. You know, the 40 something year old guy is not the key target audience for Riverdale. And if you are a 40 something year old guy and you find yourself watching it on the regular, I don't know, maybe you can reconsider your life choices. But anyway, like, you know, it actually doesn't look half bad. Like, the art's pretty good. You know, and it's quality paper. It's, you know, the glossy paper and stuff. So it is what it is. You know, and again, she got this for another one of her students because she has a student who absolutely loves Riverdale. They even give you like a little thing about, little preview of a novel that they've got, merch, some other stuff that maybe they would actually, you know, get people interested in. And it's all basically that same, you know, type of deal. You know, so anyway, you know, she got that for one of her students. It is what it is. I don't think it's anything spectacular, but whatever, you never know. It might get somebody into reading a comic, you never know. And maybe they'll pick up some more comics. It's always good if more people are reading comics. You should be riding on a luggage cart, giving your brother a high five, and driving Mr. Mosby crazy. Yes, that is a Sweet Life reference. Anyway, and then she picked up, for my daughter, she picked up this one because my daughter is a big Descendants fan. And I find this actually really interesting that there was a Free Comic Book Day Descendants book for a couple of reasons. One, because Descendants is a clearly aimed at girls property, although it is enjoyable. I mean, I actually enjoyed the first movie. Second one was okay. But they're fun for what they are. Especially if you're a Disney fan, like, they're definitely fun for what they are. But what I find really interesting about this in particular is, again, it's a Disney property. Disney owns Marvel Comics. However, this Descendants comic is put out by Tokyo Pop. Just in case you couldn't see it, if you didn't believe me. So Disney, a company that owns a comic book company, decided to source out this book to a different comic book company, which I find very interesting. Just, I don't know, it's an interesting thing to me. And they obviously are going with the manga style, which is funny because I think this is all very calculated. And I think it's probably the smarter move, although you can't tell me that Marvel couldn't find someone to draw the Descendants characters in a manga style. I mean, I'm sure they could. they're a big enough company. I'm sure they could have figured that out. But anyway, I just find it interesting because manga is very popular with young girls. They love manga. They like webtoons and things like that. So my daughter was actually really excited when she saw that my wife brought this home for her. And, you know, it looks good enough. I mean, it's Tokyo Pop usually puts out pretty good material, honestly. Like, they're not going to just, you know, crap out something terrible, at least in terms of the art. I don't know. The story could be awful. I have no idea. But, you know, it looks pretty good. Like, honestly, it's a pretty good looking comic. And then, you know, obviously there's more information, you know. And then they've got some other stuff, too. Princess stuff and all that, you know. Stitch. I'd read a book about Stitch. My daughter would. It's her favorite character. But anyway, see, they've got, like, you know, and they're obviously, like, promoting other books, too. So it's interesting. I just find it really interesting that they went to Tokyo Pop to put out a Disney property. So then, actually, this video is probably going to be a little longer than I thought it would be. So then my daughter and I went to the comic book store by my house. And we went in the evening, so I'm sure there was some stuff that was already gone. But they still had a pretty good selection of stuff for Free Comic Book Day. And so I was looking at stuff and she was looking at stuff. And being the sucker, dad that I am, when she couldn't decide on, because, you know, you get 3 free comics per person. When she couldn't decide on only 3, there was 4 of them and she couldn't pick which one she wanted to get rid of and which one she wanted to keep. Of course, I told her, just keep the 4 and I'll just get 2. So anyway, she took this one, Lucy and Andy Neanderthal, which I've never heard of before. The interesting thing to me is this is from Random House. So this says to me this is the kind of thing that would be more likely that you would find at a book fair, Scholastic book fair. Obviously, it's Random House, so, you know. But it's the kind of thing you would see maybe more at like a book fair, that kind of thing. Or maybe even in a bookstore than a regular comic book store. But it is a comic, you know, it looks fine. It looks like like a little kid's comic. So you never know, it might be good. I don't know. She'll read it and she'll let me know what she thinks. They have, obviously, like a whole series. It's an actual series. And that's what I find interesting. This is the kind of stuff that, you know, when people say, how come kids aren't reading comics? Because they're not going to the comic book store and reading floppies. What they're doing is going to the bookstore. They're going to their Scholastic book fair and that kind of thing. And they're reading things like this. They're reading books that come as hardcover books, but inside they are graphic novels. They're just not presented in the same way that we usually get comic books. Things like Captain Underpants and stuff like that. So anyway, at some point I'm going to do a whole video about that, I think, because I don't think a lot of people, if you don't have kids, I don't think you understand where those readers have gone. They don't go to the comic book store anymore. They read these other things. So anyway, she picked this up. She thought it was cute, so she'll read it. She'll let me know what she thinks. She picked up this one, which I thought was just a funny name, Ghost Hog. I don't know. It just looks silly. It's from Oni Press, which obviously is a very small publisher. It looks like a fun, silly kids book. You know, it's all like silly Billy, you know, funny. So it's kind of stuff that little kids like. So you never know. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, this dude's cool. I like him. I just like his design. He's like this cool looking otter fishing on the rocks, like just chilling. But there's like, you know, it's like this crazy weird thing. So it is what it is. And then of course, you know, there's obviously an ad. It's going to be in stores May 8th. So I don't know if it's like, you know, and then it's got a little follow-up with some, you know, to advertise another book by them, which is, of course, smart. You know, obviously they're always going to have ads in there to try to get you going. This is, you know, another book that they've got. But, like, you know, these are the kind of books that kids read nowadays. They don't really go out and buy other stuff. She saw this one. She thought this one looked funny. It is Wolfy Monster and the Big Bad Pizza Battle. And this, it's Scholastic. It looks, it looks like Scholastic. It's colorful. It's fun. It looks like a kid's book. But it's a comic book, and it looks like it'll be a fun, silly, funny. That's what she likes. She doesn't want to necessarily read traditional comics, although she did ask me about Wonder Woman, so she may start reading some Wonder Woman and Shazam. She wants to read some Shazam. But this is what I'm talking about. Stuff like this. Like Dogman, it's by Dave Pilkey, same guy who made Captain Underpants. Like, these are, things like Diary of a Wimpy Kid and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I want to see something. I'm just really curious now because this is... Where did I see it? Oh, Joey Ellis. And this one was... Oh, Joey Weiser. That's kind of funny. And then the last one that she picked out was this one, Gilbert, which is another, like, kind of silly... this is by Paper Cuts. They basically make all ages graphic novels. So again, it's a silly, very cartoony, kind of story with mer people and fish and stuff, and it's very silly, very cartoony. But you never know. Like, we'll see if she likes it, if she enjoys it. They do some oh, for God's sake, they do some licensed stuff like the Loud House, Barbie, Hotel Transylvania, Smurfs. It's those evil purple Smurfs. And then there's a little more advertising and stuff. Interesting though, I'm seeing this now though. She's with like Kimba and Astro Boy, and then here she's got Superman and Wonder Woman. I wonder, Batman, like a DC crossover. I wonder what this whole thing is about. I don't really know anything about this. So anyway, like there's some stuff to read, I guess, about the company. And then, that's it. Like, they're just advertising some more of their stuff. All stuff that a kid would want, a little girl would want, and that's what my daughter is. I mean, she's not super little anymore, but, she still likes this kind of stuff. So then we have my two choices. So I was limited to only picking two. I was gonna get the, I really wanted the Ninja Turtle one, because I haven't read a Ninja Turtle comic in years, and I used to love the Turtles with all my heart. So I definitely was just interested in seeing what they're doing with them now. I was gonna pick up the Robotech book, but then when I had to put one back, it was what it was. And I also was thinking about picking up the Vampirella book, but my daughter told me, if you take that book home, Mommy's gonna be very mad at you. So I had to leave Vampirella there. So I went with the Ninja Turtles. I haven't read it yet. I'll probably read it today or tomorrow or something. I'm curious just because, like, I loved the Ninja Turtles when they were 100% just Eastman and Laird. And, I know they're not that anymore, and they haven't been for years. And, it's IDW publishing them now. So I don't know. We'll see how things go. I mean, it looks all right. We'll see what happens, I still think it's hysterical to me that IDW is doing Star Wars books, considering, again, Marvel owns Star Wars, and they own, Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars, and yet they decided to contract it out. And then the last book I got was Punchline from Antarctic Press, and I got this for a couple of reasons. One, because of Matthew Weldon's art, because Matthew Weldon is a great artist. I follow him on Twitter and stuff, and I really enjoy his artwork that he posts. Plus, I love superheroes, so if I get a chance to see a new superhero comic, I'm definitely going to check it out and see what it's all about. The art looks great. I don't know what the story is. I have no idea. I haven't read it. I'll probably read this either today or tomorrow as well. I love the character's design. The costume design is super cool. Like, it's very unique. And yet still very, like, classic superhero. So I think it's a cool look. I know they've done, like, crossovers and stuff. Like, I don't know if they've done actual crossovers or just, like, pinups with, like, Rags and some of the other... I forget who else now. But, the art looks fantastic. I'll definitely check it out and see how the story is. It's always weird with the free comic book day stuff, too, because, like, they want you to buy their stuff, but at the same time... they usually don't like put their best story out there as part of a free comic book day giveaway. So it's always kind of weird if you're going to judge a series based on that. But if it gets you interested, then you go back and here it is, the trade paperback, so I would consider picking up the trade if I enjoy this. And then, and that's it. So those are my pickups from, those are the pickups from Free Comic Book Day for myself, my daughter, and then the stuff my wife picked up for a couple of her students, and for my daughter. Yes, my daughter gets what she wants. So, there was a good variety of stuff. It was cool to see some good variety of stuff. It was a little weird to see, I saw another father and daughter walking around, and, the daughter was asking about comic books being expensive, and the dad was kind of like, well, I guess maybe the older ones that are, really valuable or whatever. Then they started looking at new comics, and they were like, oh, this one is $4.99. This one's $5. This one's $4. This one's $5. The sticker shock started to set in, and I could see them very quickly slipping away. And as somebody who does love comics, I was like, I had to just chime in because I just felt the need to. So I just, chimed in. She liked Avengers. She likes the movies, of course. So I told her about the Marvel's I told the dad about the Marvel True Believers line. They're only $1. They're reprints of older stories, so generally they're good stories. And they're only $1. And they had them in the comic book store, so they were able to see them. And I hope maybe they picked a few of those up, but we'll see. And then I also told them about Alterna Comics, where every comic is $1.50, and they have a lot of all ages books. So if they listen to me, if they ever come back to a comic book store again, maybe, who knows, we'll see. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing when it comes to pricing in comics that we can get into. So anyway, that is I'll do my best Vanna White, look at these prizes. That was my Free Comic Book Day wrap up, my story. And that's it. And I'll be back with more videos, comic reviews coming. I guess I'll go ahead and review these two. I might as well. I've got other reviews coming too, I'll review these, but I'll review them, I think, maybe with an eye towards continuing the Free Comic Book Day angle. Maybe I'll talk about, would these get me to buy more in the future? Because that's essentially what Free Comic Book Day is. It's kind of a sales pitch for the industry and for particular comics. So anyway, that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. It would be very lovely to have you as part of our crew here. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at jm_creates. Also on Instagram, I'm at jm_creates. There I post mostly just my artwork and pictures of my dog, who is buried under blankets right now, or I'd show him to you. Anyway, that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon. And cowabunga, dude. Peace out.